The next 9/11 is coming now. The reality is Trump sped up the timeline dramatically. My greatest concern is that when the next 9/11 happens, and I truly believe it will, and I think it will be terrible, absolutely terrible, the scale in which it's going to happen. What I think is going to happen is instead of uniting our country like 9/11 did, I have a feeling the world and our country is going to say radicalism, Islam wasn't the problem here. President Donald J. Trump was. And now these are people that were attacked and are defending themselves. And we have the division that mindset could cause by not being able to identify the enemy anymore because of the disgusting way that Trump has handled this entire thing. He has handled it so dishonorably. He has made us look so bad. So welcome to another episode of Love People Enough. I'm Micah.
And I'm Rob. Thanks for joining us.
All right. So today we're going to talk about the next 9/11 because I think it's coming, buddy. I think it's coming. You know, I had this conversation with a friend of mine yesterday. You know, Iran and its proxies has been out to wipe America off the face of the earth and Israel for as long as, ever since they took over the country. It's like we've forgotten that we have real adversaries in the world because it feels like it's more offensive to fight bad guys than it is just to let them, do their bad guy stuff, if you will. Under this Republican leadership, under Trump, I think we have made the greatest mistake in the modern history of warfare. We decided to kill the Ayatollah, which is a great decision. We should have done that years ago. But then we're deciding we don't want regime change. What does that mean? It means even if we kill the highest levels of the radical Islamists, we're letting the next group come in and the next group come in. America decided we're going to let the terrorists stay in power. Now, I don't know if you remember, Rob, or I don't know if you saw the tweet from Trump when this all began. He put out a tweet. I'll put it on the screen in the future, Mike. But the tweet was something to the effect of, rise up against your overlords, take their names down, help is coming. Trump himself literally told the people of Iran to rise up. And they did for weeks. For weeks, we watched them get slaughtered in the streets. I sure did. Holy Jesus. They were shooting people's faces, shooting their eyes out. What was it? There were reports of, it doesn't matter. This stuff was horrific. Absolutely horrific. And what did America do this entire time? We did two things. We stopped Israel from interfering, the good guys, and we allowed them to just continue to rape and murder and slaughter their own people in the tens of thousands, which they did. We allowed it all to happen. By the time we went in and killed the Ayatollah, the damage had been devastating. Can you imagine tens of thousands of people who said enough is enough, I want my country back, I want my future back, I want a future back for my family, for my children. They got slaughtered in the streets by the tens of thousands. We missed this incredible opportunity to help them rise up. And can you just imagine, we've killed the Ayatollah and his son is still alive. His son was hit by a missile as well. We don't know how badly he's damaged, if he's even alive, but we're letting him continue to be in power in his regime. Just imagine, Rob, imagine if someone had murdered your father and mangled you. If you're a radical terrorist and you already believe in destroying the West, you just imagine what that's going to do to you. That's going to ensure that you have for the rest of the regime, as long as it exists, it will be truly dedicated, probably in a level we've never seen before now, to the destruction of America, to the destruction of our freedom, our hope, our future, right? The place where our kids are going to grow up someday. That's what's at stake right now. We allowed the radical terrorists to stay in power, just another group of them. and we stopped Israel from stopping them. We're continually stopping Israel from finishing the job because Trump wants no wars. What that means is that he will always let the bad guys survive because he just wants there to be nobody fighting. He doesn't believe in justice. That's just a joke to him. And so I think it's coming, buddy. I continually see reports every couple of days. Iran is planning a big this, a big that. Of course they are. I think we just saw this morning, there was something like 15 states have experienced cyber attacks on their water sources. That was just this morning, something along those lines. We had people are already being killed by the Iranians, and for some reason, it's concerning. It's so incredibly concerning because it's coming. The next 9/11 is coming now. The reality is Trump sped up the timeline dramatically. And my greatest concern, and I'm very curious what your thoughts are in just a moment, my greatest concern is that when the next 9/11 happens, and I truly believe it will, and I think it will be terrible, absolutely terrible, the scale in which it's going to happen. What I think is going to happen is instead of uniting our country like 9/11 did, I have a feeling the world and our country is going to say Islam wasn't the problem here. President Donald J. Trump was. And now these are people that were attacked and are defending themselves. And, right, we have the division that mindset could cause by not being able to identify the enemy anymore because of the disgusting way that Trump has handled this entire thing. He has handled it so dishonorably. He has made us look so bad. Every single week, he claimed we have a new deal with Iran. And then the next day, every single day, the same thing happens. Iran comes out and they're like, not only do we not have a deal, we haven't even spoken with them. Or some version of that. The humiliation of Donald J. Trump, it's not just Trump. The humiliation that America is experiencing right now, it is beyond acceptable. Everyone is seeing what a joke Trump is, what a joke America is. And imagine when this all comes back around, are we even going to be able to identify the enemy anymore? Or once Trump, the rotten son of a bitch, instead of spending the rest of his life in prison like he should, we're just going to blame him from Mar-a-Lago and not deal with the problem as it continues to get worse and worse and worse. So that's my big concern, Rob. What are your thoughts, buddy?
I think it's very possible, probably even likely, not just because of what's going on in the Middle East right now, but just we have never been able to completely wipe out all of the extreme terrorists over there.
We never tried. We
Well,
never truly tried to. We tried to defeat the enemy, not wipe out the enemy. It's such a different thing.
Well, I suppose, I guess there's still too much hope that, we can change it without more death, There's that little, angel on the shoulder. I don't know what side. Angel's probably right side.
Sure.
Yeah. Like, hey, we can fix this without the atrocities that have been going on for centuries,
Yeah, we can fix radical terrorists with kind words and
or
bribes
or deals.
Yeah, people who believe that they'll burn in they'll burn in hell forever. We think we can bribe them? No. For the most part, that's a no.
Yeah, it's you gotta not only do you have to find the ones that actually truly believe on that side, truly believe that you can, but you also have to protect them because the other guys don't want them around either, right? So I feel like it's a very slim chance that, as of right now, especially as you said, that we're gonna find the good guys over there that aren't either too weak or too afraid. It's one thing to have the heart for it, but there's a lot more than having a good heart. There's strategies, and there's having the backing to make things happen, and it's hard to do that from America, right? And if it's also hard if you're stopping the other good guys over there uh,
You're
from
literally stopping them
making
from
those
defeating
pushes.
the enemy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, Now there's a lot of a lot of people in the world who are like, just peace, just peace, just peace. Um, but as you said in one of our previous episodes, like when you walk through the rubble and you see these people, their lives, if they're not gone, everything else but their life is gone. You
Yep,
know.
that's right. The very hope
So
itself. Yep.
yeah, and it's there's a lot of people I believe that in the world that it's out of sight, out of mind. I want peace, but they've never seen um somebody bleeding out on the street or, entire cities blown up, Uh,
Oh, yeah, they never seen a car bomb go off, right? They never seen a bus blown up by radical terrorists.
yeah.
Yeah, kids, women, kids on their
Hmm.
way to school. Yeah, people just don't know. They have no idea. They don't know the true danger, what it really means to let this stuff spread.
It's one of those, it's like, you say you're going to do a good thing, you're going to be good. And then you put us in an extremely difficult situation, like the train car situation, that one?
Oh, which one? Was it a bombing?
No, 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 no.
Oh, yeah, there are a bunch of those.
A theoretical, morality, situation. So basically, you know, you got a train car coming, and if you let it stay on the track, it's going to kill um, your your child or your wife or your family, whatever. But you have the ability to switch it, and if you do, you save your family, but it'll kill like 30 people instead. Um, what do you do? A lot of people will be like, "Oh, well, of course, I'll save all those other people," while right now, like they're not thinking about, "Oh my God, this is my family." They're just thinking about, "Oh, this is numbers. This is the best thing." Um, no one ever thinks that, well, not no one, but a lot of people think that they're going to just do the most moral thing. Well, that changes in the moment. It very often it changes in the moment. Unless it's somebody who's just done it like 500 times and they're like, "Oh, whatever." But how many people have 500 families in their lifetime and have to be put in that situation? Um, so yeah, it's kind of like that. The world is, they don't know they don't actually truly feel it. They don't truly feel what is to do the humane thing and all, and versus our innate um survival mechanism. You save yourself and your family first. That's usually how it goes. People run into burning buildings to save their 90-year-old grandmother. Um so yeah, it's not the same when it comes down to the wire, uh, as opposed to sitting safe in your you know uh, comfort cooled home, and you sipping on your mai tais, or your whatever coffee. Um, it's not the same, and
Yeah.
people like to think that they're doing the best thing, uh, but it's not as simple as making that decision right now. It's not.
Yeah, I think good future episode on like the role of media in this kind of stuff will be, I think, really great for our viewers. You just imagine a lot of people don't even read the news because it's just so bad. They just can't. They can't do it. And then the few who do read the news, right? You'll read the same headlines, right? Israel kills 12. Israel bombs blank. Um, it's always 12 killed in airstrike. Not 12 terrorists killed. Not Israel kills 12 terrorists. Not America puts 12 terrorists under the ground. They call them militants. The majority of all of them now, they call them militants. And so it's very easy when the news is telling you the terrorists have attacked us. You're like, okay, terrorists. Yeah, they're pretty bad. It's a very different situation when you're like, United States and Islamic militants trade fire, causing the death of 3 people. You're like, dude, you don't even, the good and evil piece has been stripped out of that, and it needs to come back. The news, when you're talking about things like terrorists and terrorism, there should be a very clear agreement that this is as worse as it gets, right? This is as evil as it comes right here. And when these media, one after another, calls them things like militants, the media is tough. I think it's the first thing that has really broken people is the media, and then social media as well. Social media and podcasts. I'm a firm believer that we need to start. Something has to change with podcasts because podcasters are able to lie about anything and everything they want and completely get away with it and brainwash millions of people. I'm thinking people like Tucker
Influencers.
Carlson. Yeah, influencers. Yeah. Podcast
When we're
influencers like Tucker
podcasters,
Carlson.
we're not influencing
I
anybody
know.
right now,
Oh, not yet. Not yet. You give us some
Not yet.
time, Yeah.
And
It's funny. It's funny you mention that because part of the main reason I was so late to start this episode, besides all the other things that happened, was I was trying to put a correction out today from one of our episodes, but all my computer stuff in the background keeps malfunctioning and I can't get the format of what I need to put the correction out properly. So it's going to have to sit for probably the next episode. But I do want to make sure I start putting corrections in if either of us gets anything wrong, especially important stuff. Like, for example, I have this document that I've referenced before. It's called When the Islamists Take Power. And it studies the last 75 years-ish from 1950 to now. And it shows every country that's been taken over by Islam. None of them turn back. Once it becomes Islamic, it's pretty much over. And so I describe that as all of history. That's not all of history. That's the last 75 years. It has, in the past, a few select times, countries that have been taken over by Islam have reverted, but they've done so by mass exodus of all those Muslims or putting them into like places where they can be, the people can be protected from them. Horrible atrocities have had to occur in order for those to bring the countries back. If you kind of understand,
like we discussed in China, right?
Yeah,
Similar situation. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, you have 18,000 terrorists. You got people being stabbed in subways. You got bombs being thrown out of vehicles at people, and you say, "I need to protect my people." Now you've got 1 million people in camps, right? And you say that's not right, but it is right. The two sides of those same coin. This is where I go back to the danger of the books, right? Of the religion, of we think it's wrong. We think it's wrong. We have stated, I think pretty much everybody says it's, not everybody, but basically it's wrong religions are okay. Everyone's allowed to have their own religion and it's fine. But it's just not. When a religion is so dangerous that it's taken over the entire world, I don't know. I know we can spiral off into a whole bunch of different things. We're talking about the next 9/11, but it's coming, man. And I don't know. I'm curious. Where were you on 9/11? Do you remember that specifically? It was like a big event for you, or I was in the military, so it was a big thing for me.
It was a big event only in the fact that something strange was happening. I was in school. I was 4th or 5th grade, something like that. And kids were just getting pulled out of school. Kids are getting pulled out of all of a sudden half my class was gone. And I took the bus home because I wasn't pulled out of school. Actually, school closed early. After all the kids got pulled out of school, they were like, "Okay, we're closing up shop. This is something crazy going on. Everybody needs to go home to their families." And I got home, and my pseudo-adoptive parents, or I think it was at the time, probably married my woman I call my mother. She was crying or something, and it's crazy because my older brother, again, pseudo-adoptive older brother, he worked in the trade center,
Wow.
But he was late. He was running late to get over the bridge,
That's crazy. Oh my
either in
God.
the Trade Center or near it, very very near it. I don't remember, but he was late. And anyways, I get home and she's crying, and I think I was told what happened, or saw it on the news, or heard it, or something. But it doesn't. As a child, it doesn't really hit home. You don't know. Um, building collapse. It's an accident. We're under attack. You don't know anything. People, they're not going to tell a child that, right? A 10, 11
Sure.
year old or whatever it was at the time.
Yeah.
Um, so that was
Interesting.
the extent of
Yeah.
what it felt when it happened. It was just, I knew everybody was afraid and everybody was upset, and something bad happened. I just, it's I was a kid
Yeah.
still.
That's so fascinating. Never really kind of thought about it like that. I just imagine, right? If you were not like at a certain age to be able to process what happened properly, right? Like an adultish, um, you wouldn't be able to, you wouldn't feel it the same, I think. And I have a feeling that that's probably, some version of that is probably what's happened to a lot of people, right? Especially young people. They didn't experience it themselves. I mean, I was in
Influencers.
the, yeah, oh yeah, I know those low life dirtbags. um, I, uh, I was in the army. I was in Germany. We were training. We're doing PT in the morning, and they pulled us all in. I remember we pulled in, and we all stood in front of this, this little TV. It's like this big, it's a little TV watching the Twin Towers fall, right? Watching the plane hit. It's like, it, I mean, I got goosebumps. I got goosebumps just thinking about it, because it was right there and then. Every single one of us knew. Sergeant told us, but we're going to war. Holy shit. Holy crap, we're going to war. The realization of that, terrifying.
Well, and when it
Seeing
first
that,
happened,
terrifying.
no one knew it was terrorists. That wasn't a known information. It was the following days after, where people are cleaning up and tallying up the dead.
We knew we'd been attacked. Details still came out.
Probably,
Definitely.
actually, they were probably military, but civilians didn't know. They just knew two
Yeah.
planes, like they didn't, a lot of civilians had no idea what was going on. They didn't know there was multiple other planes.
Yeah. Oh,
Uh,
yeah. 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 We were just seeing at the time. Like I said, we knew that was it. We were going to war.
because I
We
was
didn't
from
know
New
it
York,
until
so like
just,
the
yeah.
focus, the
No.
focus was probably on, the Twin Towers at the time. I
Yeah.
lived in New York. That's where I'm from, and um, then later on you find out, something hit the Pentagon, and one fell short of its mark because some heroes decided that they weren't going to let it happen. So yeah, but a lot of people didn't know it was likely a carefully coordinated attack, as compared to
Yeah.
like the military, who is trying to keep up on that stuff and defend against it.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of, have you ever seen the movie called Zero Dark 30?
I don't think so.
So I have this person I follow on Twitter who called it something like the most powerful movie of her entire lifetime. And I was like, oh, that's quite a statement right there. Holy Jesus. So my sister Beth and I yesterday watched it.
You
Now
mean
she'd already
Bethany?
seen it previously. Yeah, Bethany. Yeah, we both
I'm
watched it
kidding. Yeah,
yesterday.
Bethany.
Um, yeah, Beth and I. Um, yeah. Wow. So the whole movie is dedicated to the aftermath of 9/11, right? Trying to figure out what happened, who caused it, and, basically the operation to get Osama bin Laden. The whole thing together. What a powerful movie. Holy Jesus. the first like third of the movie or something is like people getting tortured in order to get the information out of them, and on like on some level, like we need to see that stuff. We hide it all, like the stuff that is required to get the truth out of terrorists is not pretty. It will hurt your soul to do it. It doesn't mean it's not necessary. But yeah, Zero Dark 30, absolutely incredible. If you ever get a chance to watch it, it is such a powerful experience all the way through. And there is a,
Is it a documentary or is it
no,
like
it's
a Hollywood film?
Yeah, it's like a Hollywood film.
Okay.
Yeah. But everything
I've heard
comes
of it.
from, yeah. Oh yeah. It's a very, very big movie. But yeah, so just kind of bring us back here as we wrap this up in just a moment here. Our last couple episodes have gone a little too long. We really want to try to keep these things to 30-minute-ish if we can. That way it's not too overwhelming for our viewers. But again, I just want to reiterate, man, I'm concerned. I'm concerned that when the next 9/11 happens, the world's going to blame Trump and not radical Islam. And the problem is there's a lot of truth to that blame. He killed the Ayatollah and left his radical Islamists in power. Like, he's the reason why the attacks are continuing right now.
You think it's over?
You think our minister? No, nothing's over.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there's nothing. It's just continuing because we keep letting the terrorists stay in power. And every single week, Trump says, "Oh, there's a new deal," and the next day, every day, we get humiliated. And so when it finally hits, I just don't know how many. I can tell that a lot of radicals on both sides, the red and the left, they will say Trump did this. Trump's responsible for this, or the Republican Party as a whole is responsible for this. Radical Islam is just they're just fighting back, right? They're doing what anyone else would do if they were attacked. You can see that stuff right now coming, So yeah, any last thoughts before we wrap this up, my friend?
I'd say people, if you're watching this, do and I admit I don't follow the news as much as possible. I've been very engulfed in my own life recently, and do some research, look at numbers, multiple sources, please, and understand that there's a lot of things going on in the world, atrocities, some good things. Look at the Nobel Prize winners and all those are good things. But you need to know all the bad things. Don't be afraid of it. Well, actually, you should be afraid of it, but don't be afraid to know about it.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to talk about it.
We can't fix things if we don't know they need to be fixed.
Absolutely. Well said, my friend. Well said. All right. So thank you all for your time. Again, I'm Micah.
And I'm Rob. Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you next time. Hey, everyone. This is Micah.
And I'm Rob.
From Love People Enough. Please consider signing up for our Patreon so we can continue to bring you hard-hitting episodes and grow our channel to reach the widest audience possible. Link below in the description.